listening to the Brave Babe podcast. I hope you're ready to be totally inspired to be brave and radically empowered to drop your excuses, pick up your worth, and start creating a life you truly love. Because, babe, you're worth it. Hello, babes, and welcome to episode 2 of the Brave Babe podcast. I'm Jelena Dawn, and in addition to being your fearless host of this inspiring and empowering podcast and leader of the Brave Babe tribe, I rock a few other titles too, to include wife, former foster mom turned adoptive mom, former law enforcement sergeant turned stay-home mom, author, entrepreneur, blogger, web designer, photographer, speaker, certified health coach, dreamer, and a slew of other things. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, you'll soon find out because it's all relevant to this episode's topic of shut the heck up and mind your own business. Just kidding. Well, kind of. The topic I want to discuss today is why we should stop seeking permission and approval from others and start dishing it out to ourselves. If this is your first time tuning in, I am so grateful that you found the Brave Babe podcast. My goal here is to inspire bravery and empower women to drop their excuses, pick up their worth, and create a life they truly love. I do this, or attempt to anyway, by sharing my personal life experiences with you. So, are you ready to hear about the 2 things that happened this past week that kind of pissed me off and led to this whole episode? If you don't know me on a personal level already, you sure will after this episode. These 2 things made me seriously reflect on why too many of us women aren't living the life we truly desire deep down because, I believe in part, we seek permission and approval from others rather than granting it to ourselves. Now, I know you're just so eager to find out what irked me so badly, but before we go there, let's first chat about how we are so conditioned from such a young age to figure out what we want to do with our lives, accomplish it, and stick to it. How this has led us to seeking permission and approval from others, and why this is a ginormous BS excuse that we need to drop pronto. Allow me to paint a picture for you. At the end of last school year, my daughter's kindergarten class had a moving up ceremony in which all of the families gathered in the gym to see the kinders receive a certificate and celebrate their accomplishment of moving on to the 1st grade. As part of the ceremony, each student took turns walking up to the microphone on the stage, announcing their name and professing what they want to be when they grow up. Here's how it went for my daughter, Charlie.
My name is Charlie. When I grow up, I want to be a vet.
Now, I totally commend all of these kiddos for having the courage to speak, even if briefly, in front of a large audience of parents, grandparents, siblings, and teachers. I absolutely love that my daughter's school incorporates public speaking early on like this so that as the kids grow up, they'll be less intimidated of speaking in front of others, be it their classmates while giving a junior high science experiment presentation, or as an adult pitching an idea in a business meeting in front of coworkers or clients. These kids are learning to be brave, and I, for one, am all for it. Back to what my little sunflower, that's my nickname for Charlie, said when it was her turn. As you heard, she bravely proclaimed that when she grows up, she wants to be a vet, as in a veterinarian. Now, we live on a little farm in the city, and we have chickens, ducks, goats, a pony, dogs, a tortoise, and a bird. Yeah, I think that covers all of them. And yes, I know, that's a lot of animals. Combine that with a kindergartner, 1st grader, 5th grader, 7th grader, and a husband. And is it really any wonder that I'm just trying to make it through most days without pulling all of my hair out? Anyways, Charlie for sure loves animals. She's so sweet and gentle with them. Well, except for that one time she accidentally killed her favorite duck, but we won't talk about that. She's loving and caring when it comes to animals, but does Charlie really understand at just 5 or 6 years old all that vets actually do? Ironically, Charlie joined Girl Scouts a few months ago, and her Daisy Troop is currently working on a Cheers for Animals journey that teaches them what animals need and how to care for them, and in turn teaches the girls how to care for themselves. Charlie has some seriously amazing troop leaders who organized a visit to an animal shelter the other week and a trip to a vet's office just this past week as part of the animal journey. The girls got firsthand experience in how to care for animals, and it was seriously so cool. While at the vet's office, Charlie got to help out with an assessment on a dog. And this dog was seriously so amazing and gentle and sweet and patient with all of the girls. But this assessment included weighing the dog, learning why it's important to get the dog's temperature, listening to the dog's heartbeat, checking its eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. And Charlie also learned how blood work is used to determine why an animal might be sick and so much more. It truly was an incredible experience for the girls, all of who, not surprisingly, raised their hands at the beginning of the visit when asked, who here wants to be a vet when they grow up? So, what's my point? Well, my point is that I agree that it's super important to teach kids to have goals and aspirations as they grow up and to provide them with experiences, such as the visit to the vet's office, that allow them to learn what certain careers are actually like. But by asking them as kindergarteners, first, second, third, even 11th graders, what they want to be when they grow up, is this simple, totally common question pressuring them to figure it out too soon? I mean, they're just kids, for goodness sake, kids with no life experience yet. During that kinder moving up celebration where the kids announced what they wanted to be when they grow up, here's some of the professions I heard. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a YouTuber, a vet, a firefighter, a police officer, a singer, a ballerina, an astronaut, the president of the United States. You've heard all of this before, though, haven't you? What did you want to be when you were a kid? I can't even remember what astounding career I proclaimed as my future when I was just 5 or 6 years old. I do remember taking tap dance lessons though, so I probably said I wanted to be a dancer, yet I was too shy to even perform in front of my own family. I'm sure my career decision changed with each passing year, depending on what was popular with my friends at the time. Now, get this, and curiously, let me know if you agree. Linda Gottfredson, a career theorist who, more specifically, shares her rationale for our career directions in her theory of circumscription and compromise, or, in other words, why we choose to do what we do, says that the career aspirations of kids are heavily influenced by their perception of what's appropriate for their gender and class, rather than self-concept and their skills and interests. At this early age, kids are still forming their identity by attaching value to what adults, especially parents, teachers, and coaches, seem to like. Adults positively reinforce what adults deem as acceptable, and this shapes our kids. As a side note here, it's really astounding the new things you learn while researching information for a pissed off inspired podcast episode. But back to influencing our youth. Of course, this is a great thing in leading our children to become successful members of society, but it can also be a negative thing. When we ask our kids what they want to be when they grow up, we are unknowingly and unintentionally setting limitations on what they can do and who they can become because they don't know what they don't know yet, you know? Rather than asking kids what they want to be when they grow up, we should be asking them what problems they want to solve. This opens the door for them to explore and think outside of the box. Boxes keep you closed off and stuck. And who wants their kid to grow up to feel stuck in a career path that they chose before they were even old enough to really understand what purpose and passion are? Let me ask this, and I'm well aware that it might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable because it makes me feel a certain way too. Are you, and let's be completely honest here, completely, truly happy and satisfied with your current career choice? Whether you're busting your butt working over 40 hours a week outside of the home or busting your butt as a stay-home mom, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Do you feel content? Do you feel you're fulfilling your purpose? Are you passionate about what you do? Or are you perhaps content but still desiring more, like something is just kind of off or missing and you're just not really sure exactly what it is? Or are you completely miserable and totally burnt out? Babes, I ask this because I know so many women who took on their career path because it was their parents' dreams and goals for them, or because they thought it would make them the most money, or be the easiest, or be something they enjoyed. But as it turns out, that's not the case. It definitely wasn't the case for me. This is all stuff that we're taught to be concerned about from a young age, but as we gain life experience, we come to realize is the exact BS that keeps us feeling stuck. Let me share my story. I guess I can call it that with you. As a high schooler, I totally felt pressured into figuring out what I wanted to be when I grew up, a mere year from then. I thought I wanted to become a police officer. My still adolescent mind thought that being able to stop bad guys from selling drugs to teen kids, because one of my brothers became addicted at a young age and still severely struggles today, would be fulfilling. I also thought that being a police officer meant I could get pedophiles, like the one who destroyed my very own family, off the streets so they couldn't keep hurting more kids. In theory, this career choice sounded like a perfect fit for me. So, upon graduating high school, I began pursuing a criminal justice degree and got hired with the sheriff's office as a detention officer at age 18, thinking that it would be a great stepping stone into becoming a sworn officer when I turned 21. I just had to get through 3 years of working in the jails first. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what can go wrong. Life. Life has a way of happening and interfering with our plans, doesn't it? Now, if you are that rare unicorn of a woman who has all of your stuff together and you're perfectly happy with your life, I completely, wholeheartedly commend you. And I would seriously love to gain some insight from you. But if that's you, this podcast probably isn't for you. But if you're like me, a total hot mess most days, and life has sort of happened to you up until this point, but you desire some sort of shift in your life, let's keep going. I promise I have a point in all of this. Life happened to me. My plan of spending 3 years working in the jails while simultaneously going to college turned into 10 years in jail and dropping out of college because paying bills was a necessity and took precedence over college tuition. Now, understand this. I enjoyed my job for the most part. I was fortunate enough to be chosen for several specialty assignments throughout my career and promoted from officer to sergeant. And let me tell you, in case you don't know me personally, I love being in leadership positions. And best of all, I met my husband in jail. At age 23, I became a mom. At age 24, I became a wife. In my late 20s, I became a foster mom, then an adoptive mom. This was never a part of my original plan, but hey, God's plans are so much greater than our own. I then made the tough decision to leave my 10-year career in law enforcement to become a stay-home mom because I felt, and I still stand by this decision today, that it was what my family needed. Plus, I had become so burnt out working in law enforcement because over those 10 years, I grew up. I gained life experience. I grew my relationship with Jesus, and I started to feel more and more every day that my purpose in life is to help others, not keep them locked up. And the very career path that I chose as a teenage girl prevented me from accomplishing that. For the past several years, my identity has been a stay-home mom, and it's been both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that I get to spend so much time with my 4 kids, and I never have to miss a school event or a baseball game, a musical theater performance, a parent-teacher conference, or any holidays like I used to. Long gone are the days of my husband and I handing kids off in the parking lot of work as I got off my shift and he started his. My kids were given the consistency and the routine that they clearly needed when I started staying home. And I love being a mom, and I adore my husband for supporting me in the decision to become a stay-home mom. Now, I say being a stay-home mom is also a curse because holy moly, parenting 24/7 is freaking hard and exhausting. And it can be mundane at times and also lonely at times. I feel like I do more as a stay-home mom than I ever did in law enforcement. And I sometimes find myself longing for the adrenaline rushes and the interaction with adults that I no longer have on a daily basis. This year, our youngest kiddo started half-day kindergarten, and come the new year, he'll be in full-day kindergarten, which affords me the opportunity to start contributing to our family's income. This is something I've dabbled in over the past few years, but I always still had the kids and home to care for 24/7, and they were always my priority. But now I can't really use my kids as an excuse not to work. This is a new season for me, one of trying to align my passion and purpose with something that creates income for my family. As my identity has been so wrapped up in being a stay-home mom, I've found myself really struggling lately with what I want to do career-wise. So, as I just mentioned, I've dabbled here and there, trying to figure out what my purpose is aside from being a mom and a wife. I started a nonprofit ministry and led teams in serving communities in Haiti. I started my own health journey, and from the products and network marketing opportunity, I discovered that I actually enjoy helping others on their health journey. So I became a certified health coach. I enjoy writing, so I published a book. I enjoy taking photos and I adore all things wedding and people in love, so I started offering engagement and wedding photography services. This is something I'm going to talk more about in a minute. I also love to blog, speak publicly, and educate on certain topics, so I do that too, here and there. And I wanted to start a podcast that would allow me the opportunity to serve other women, so here we are. This is all a part of my journey to figuring out what problem I want to solve and how I was created to go about doing it. And straight up, I don't think that there's anything wrong with exploring my interests and options or even doing this at 35 years old. I know I have so many friends out there who are in similar seasons of life right now, so babe, you are not alone. Now, maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, geez, this chick is all over the place and needs to pick something and stick with it. If that's you, congrats on having your life together. But please do everyone a favor and stop judging those of us who just want more out of our lives. This judgment is one of the things that really pissed me off this past week. This is how it went down. My husband Brent came home from work the other day, and during our conversation about his day, made the mistake of mentioning to me that he visited one of his guy friends who said to him, I see your wife is doing photography now. Man, she really just needs to pick one thing and stick with it. Excuse me? Why? Why do I need to pick one thing and stick with it? Because that's what you do, Brent's friend who I won't name? Because that's what makes a person successful? Because it's wrong to try different things to test the waters and determine what really sets my soul on fire versus just diving into what I think will be the right fit for me and then learning years later that I was wrong and as a result, miserable. Been there, done that, learned my lesson. Come on, dude. And come on, babe. I'd like to point out that the guy who made this comment to my husband had very recently quit his career in law enforcement to pursue an unconventional career that I can't even mention on this podcast, only to then start a now thriving business and something totally different. And now he's totally happy and passionate about what he's doing, and I couldn't be happier for him. So his comment really makes no sense to me at all. But I digress. Yes, we were conditioned from a young age to figure out what we want to be, accomplish that, and stick with it. But clearly, this isn't working for most of us. The stats prove that this is true. I read somewhere recently, and no, I didn't go searching for the source again, my bad, but I can find it if you don't want to take my word for it, that nearly 99% of people regret their career choice. Isn't that freaking horrible? That means that a majority of us are living the life that happened to us, not the one we deep down desire to create for ourselves. But what do you think people do? They stay there, where they feel stuck and unfulfilled. And why? Because it just seems too difficult to up and change careers, because they don't give themselves the grace to try new things until they figure out where their passion really lies, and because they seek permission and approval from others rather than giving it to themselves. I used to totally be the girl who cared about what others thought of me. I still occasionally find myself not wanting to let others see my attempts and failures because I know that they're going to have their own opinions about it, as my husband's friend did. He looks at all of the things I've given a try over the past few years and he sees failure. I look at all the things I've allowed myself to try, and I see a woman who is brave in the pursuit of creating the life she truly wants. I don't need my husband's friends or anyone's permission or approval, and babe, neither do you. This brings me to the second thing that got a little under my skin this past week. I was heading out to Sedona to photograph an elopement wedding for a couple whose engagement photos I had just recently taken, and someone close to me asked, "What makes you think you're good enough to take wedding photos?" Now, let me add that this person asked this question in a very loving manner, and simply because this was going to be my first time photographing such a huge moment for another couple. So I wasn't really offended that this question was asked of me per se, but I was rather bothered that this is a question that probably all women can relate to in some way. What makes you think you're good enough to pursue your goal or your dream? My answer? I'm good enough because I say I'm good enough. I'm worthy of pursuing something I enjoy doing, like photography, because I've decided I'm worthy. My worth doesn't come from how others perceive me, but from how I perceive myself. I am confident in my abilities. Am I the best wedding photographer? Hell no. I literally just started combining my hobby with earning income. It's going to take me many weddings before I'll be great. Right now, I'm good, but excellence comes not only with practice and experience, but also with confidence in oneself and the grace to go out and do what makes you happy because you give yourself permission and approval to learn and grow and be brave. So, you know what I did after this question was asked? I drove my butt up to Sedona and I had a blast working with this couple during their beautiful elopement ceremony on a cliff with the most gorgeous red rock mountains in the background. Then I came home and worked on editing and did a post-photo session assessment with myself to point out the areas that I can improve upon next time. Did the couple love their photos? They sure did. But you know what? Had I let that question of what makes me think I'm good enough to take wedding photos get into my head and create doubt or confusion, that couple wouldn't have any photos of their wedding day at all. And I'd be sitting here still feeling unworthy and defeated because I sought out permission and approval from someone else. Will photography be the thing that I stick with? I can tell you right now that I love being able to serve people in this way, but I also love blogging and podcasting and trying to inspire and empower other women, and I'll continue giving myself permission and approval to do so. This season of my life is a part of my journey, and I'm choosing to look at it as an adventure that's building my bravery muscles and my trust in God's plan for me, rather than consider it to be anything associated with negativity. So, babe, what season are you in? And what areas of your life are you still seeking permission and approval from others? Maybe it has nothing to do with your career choice, but rather your parenting style or decision to leave a toxic relationship or to start a new endeavor. Whatever it is, please do yourself a favor and stop seeking permission and approval from others. This is your life, not theirs. Be brave in gracing yourself the opportunity to do what you feel in your heart and your gut you need to do. Gift yourself permission and approval. The people who love you for who you are, not what you do. And anyone who tries to make jabs at you for being brave is, and this might sound mean, but it's true, they're jealous. No one who has ever accomplished anything brave will ever knock you down for being brave. They will cheer you on and support you because they know firsthand how many excuses they had to drop and how their self-worth is what helped them create a life that they can truly love. Find those people. Those are your people. Tell everyone else to mind their own damn business. If you're trying to find your tribe, I'd love to personally invite you to join the Brave Babe Tribe and connect with other women who inspire bravery and empower women to drop their excuses, pick up their worth, and create a life they truly love. You can head over to bebravebabe.com to connect with us. We'd seriously love to have you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please hit that subscribe button, leave your girl a 5-star review, and share the Brave Babe podcast with the women in your life. Oh, one last thing before I go. I'd like to proudly share that the Brave Babe podcast is sponsored by Bluehost. Bluehost has the best web hosting and it's totally compatible with WordPress, which I love so much. So if you've been considering starting or even just fine-tuning your own blog, head over to bebravebabe.com for my totally free online Brave Babe blogger course that'll walk you through how to start your own blog completely from scratch and even show you how to monetize your blog. Because heck yeah, you should get paid for the stories you tell and the content you create for your audience. I even have a special offer from Bluehost just for you. Sweet! Till next time, have a great week. Give yourself permission and approval to be brave, babe.